The longer I live, the more I appreciate the truth to the statement that nobody's going to be criticizing you who's doing more than you. It's always going to be people, it's usually always going to be coming from people who are doing less than you. When I look at and analyze who's criticizing me, and most people criticize you behind your back, and then it gets back to you. But when I look at whoever's criticizing me, without fail, right now in my life, it's always people who are doing far less than me. They've accomplished less, they're doing less. It reminds me of this saying, this perspective that if it isn't an option for you, then you probably shouldn't have an opinion about it. Or something like that. Meaning if something isn't even an option for you in your life, your opinion about it isn't valid. It's like people who, have an opinion about how somebody else should handle their money. Well, if their kind of money and the decisions that they're making with it isn't even an option for you, then you really don't have a valid opinion. It's like if you see somebody buy an expensive toy, a car, a boat, an airplane, whatever, and then you say, and their critic says, oh, they should have invested that money, blah, blah, blah. If buying the same toy, car, boat, airplane, isn't an option for you, then you don't have a valid opinion about it. Right? It's like people who criticize men or women in certain relationships or in a relationship. And you have to look at the person doing the criticizing. One, if they're never been in a relationship and they don't have people who want to be in relationships with them, then a relationship isn't even an option for them. They shouldn't be saying anything. And if somebody isn't dating somebody who's equally attractive and accomplished the way whoever it is that they're criticizing, then somebody that's that attractive or accomplished isn't an option for them. So they don't have a valid opinion about it. You get what I'm saying? And that idea of if it's not an option for you, you don't have a valid opinion about it to me is a different way of looking at only those who are doing less than you are going to criticize you. The longer that I live and the more that I accomplish, the more that I work, the harder that I work, the more that I do, the less energy I have to criticize anybody else. Even those doing more than me. I can be honest with myself. There have been many times when I've criticized other people, and generally it's always been somebody who was doing more than me. But the more I've accomplished, the less criticism there is in me. Mostly because I'm just too tired from doing what I'm doing. And it also just feels good to win, and the more you win, the less criticism you hold in your heart. I think a lot of winning for a man helps to eliminate insecurity or reduce it. Not always true, but in my case, I think that's true. But I just want to remind you that whoever's talking shit about you, they're probably doing less than you. Remember that. Most people who are talking shit about you, what you can do and what you have isn't even an option for them. And if it isn't even an option for them, that means they don't even need to be, they don't even have a life where they can have the opportunity to make a decision that involves that kind of a outcome, scenario, toy, whatever. So how can they have a valid opinion? I'll tell you one of my favorite responses is to any haters or critics. And I'll pass it on to you to use in your life. Somebody talks shit, and most of them will never talk shit to your face because most shit talkers are complete pussies. But for the rare few that may ever talk shit to your face, my favorite response of all the responses I have, my favorite response is simply look at them and say, and oh, you should be doing X, Y, and Z. And, oh, you shouldn't have done it this way. You should have done it that way. And, oh, if I was in your shoes, I'd have handled it this way. And, you'd be amazed at how that one simple word, delivered with that exact same nonchalant attitude, will just stun people, stop them dead in their tracks, and you can just sit back and enjoy watching them fumble over their own shoelaces as they sputter and splutter, trying to string words together to tell you something intelligent. Men often hate on what they gave up on. So if somebody's hating on you, it's just because you're probably accomplishing and doing something that they gave up on accomplishing in their own life.